Ahead on DC News Now.
The steadiest rain is finally kicking out of here, but we're not quite done with the soggy weather this week. We'll let you know when more rain could return.
Housing reform in DC, what it could mean for renters.
It's our first look of the Washington Commanders in 2025. Organized team activities taking place out here in Ashburn, and our first look as well at second-year quarterback Jaden Daniels.
Also, riding on the Metro just got easier. New technology making tap and go a reality. And a kickoff to Pride Month in West Virginia. How you can get into all the fun this weekend.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
And thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 4. I'm Mark Hall.
I'm Tosin Fakile. A look at your radar right here. It is a wet Wednesday around the DMV.
Yeah, we're seeing slick conditions on roadways across the region, and that certainly has a major impact on folks' commutes. Take a look at this video. A massive tree down on East-West Highway. The roadway closed between Glendale Road and Curtis Street. You can see the tree on the power lines there.
Let's get right over to meteorologist Damon Matson for a full look at our forecast. It's been raining.
Yeah, it's been damp as can be, and all of this recent rainfall, it doesn't take much for those old trees across the DMV to just lose their grip with their roots and fall over like that. And yes, we've had a lot of rainfall here today. Now, thankfully, we haven't had any major flooding issues, at least, and especially now as we head into the evening with not all that much rain left on our radar here. Well, we are going to continue to see things hold steady for the most part. No major issues expected, but again, things are slick, and we still do have a couple of leftover showers out across western Maryland and West Virginia, but the large majority of us, well, we're done with the steadier rainfall. Here's the one issue, though, we will continue to deal with as we wrap up the day and head into the night. Visibility is going to remain a problem with areas of fog, mist continuing across the DMV. So if you're out on those roadways here this evening, tonight, you want to give yourself some extra time. Take it slow. It's going to be difficult to see very far ahead of you as this fog lingers. Now, as far as any scattered showers go, they will be with us for the next few hours, making some locations soggy. Many of us will see dry time, though, heading into the overnight hours, but it stays chilly, it stays damp, and yes, that fog lingers through at least Thursday morning. Now, as we wrap up this bit of rainfall, should we be ready for any more wet weather before the week is over with? We'll have a full look at your forecast coming up here in just a bit.
Hi, Damon. We'll check in with you soon. Thank you. Developing out of Prince George's County, a Fort Washington man arrested for the deadly shooting of two 16-year-old boys.
Yeah, police say that the shooting was during a potential illegal drug deal. Police arrested 27-year-old Dwan Goddard. They responded around 9:30 last night on Harris Place. The victims identified as Thomas Smith Jr. and Michael Bassett. They also say that a third teen there was shot at but not hit. Police say that Goddard took law enforcement on a police chase that ended in Washington, D.C., where he was arrested. Prince George's County Police Chief speaking on the shooting today.
Responding officers observed the SUV suspected to be involved in the shooting, fleeing the scene and attempting a traffic stop. The driver refused to stop. Officers pursued the SUV into Washington, D.C., where he was taken into custody.
But Goddard faces first and second-degree murder and other related charges. And still ahead at 4, leaders in Prince George's County announcing their summer crime initiative. And DC News Now's Tiger Munn will have the latest. That's coming up at 4:20.
We head to the district now where a major debate over a decades-long policy.
TOPA, or Tenant Opportunity Purchase Act, has been in place since 1990 and gives tenants the right to buy their building if it's up for sale. But some argue it's slowing housing development and discouraging investment.
Our Mariel Carbone is live at the Wilson Building with more. Mariel, the issue attracting nearly 200 public speakers today.
Yeah, Tosin, it's certainly a hot topic issue, and it's one that's been largely debated today. We know developers are saying that it's becoming more difficult to do business in the district. This, as we're seeing more rent unpaid and the cost of living going up. But the real question is whether or not changes to TOPA will make a difference in any of this.
TOPA is wild. TOPA's also been part of DC's process since 1980.
But there could soon be changes to the decades-old policy. Wednesday, a packed house debating the future of TOPA, the Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act. It gives tenants the first right to buy if their landlord is selling their building. The intent is to prevent displacement.
We've had a lot of regulations over the years. TOPA is obviously one of them.
But developers argue it makes it difficult to do business, slowing down and jeopardizing sales and new development.
The Rental Act is fixing those issues.
Under the mayor's proposed Rental Act, market rate housing would not be eligible for TOPA. New builds would be exempt for 25 years.
It'll signal to the market that DC is ready for investment.
But a lot of the concerns that have been raised, I think, are things that can be explained by other causes, like lack of people paying rent.
Councilmember Brianna Nadeau has a competing bill. Hers keeps market rate units eligible and only exempts new builds for 3 years.
But 3 years is about how long it takes to fill a building. So if you're just wanting to get out of a deal, you can do that before it's filled with tenants.
We have not seen over the history of TOPA that TOPA has actually been the challenge.
Advocates who support TOPA, like Maya Brennan with the coalition, agree some changes are necessary, but they argue it won't fix the housing crisis in D.C.
But it's truly a scapegoat. The issue is actually about a combination of rent arrears and a shift to lower cost places to get land, which are the suburbs usually.
Now, the mayor's proposal, it does still include low and moderate income housing that are TOPA eligible. And Mark and Tosin, another point from advocates, they say that TOPA is really a tool for renters to be able to negotiate better living conditions if their building is up for sale. And that is something they don't want to see people lose the right to do. Reporting live from the Wilson Building, I'm Marielle Carbone, DC News Now.
All right, Marielle, thank you for that report. Developing now still in the district, multiple suspects are on the run for 2 separate robberies in Northeast D.C. this morning. The first happened on Hayes Street. Police say one of the suspects was armed with a handgun, another with a rifle, and demanded property from the victim. They say all 3 suspects left the scene in a silver Kia truck. Then another robbery at nearly the same time on East Capitol Street Northeast. The suspect stole property from 3 victims. We're told one juvenile was taken to the hospital after an assault. One of the suspects was armed with a firearm. Police say the suspects in this second robbery left in a 4-door car in a smaller silver SUV. It's not clear whether the 2 robberies are linked. Anyone with information is asked to call police.
We're staying in the district after 2 Israeli embassy staffers were shot and killed outside of the Capitol Jewish Museum in Northwest last week. The museum says it will reopen their doors. That will be tomorrow, Thursday, May 29th at noon. The museum says enhanced security measures will be in place, including extra security both inside and outside the museum.
D.C. has a new top federal prosecutor who's no stranger to the spotlight. Former Fox News host and TV judge Jeanine Pirro was sworn in as interim U.S. attorney for D.C. this afternoon. It happened at the White House. And that's where we find D.C. News Now's Randy Bass with more details about what's ahead for Pirro and her team of prosecutors.
Yes, and Jeanine Pirro has already had a few very busy, very violent weeks under her belt here in the district. And now the president is looking to her to help crack down on crime here in D.C. With more than a dozen homicides on D.C. streets in the last 2 weeks and a deadly attack at the Capitol Jewish Museum just days ago, her office already has a lot to handle.
Just last week, here in our nation's capital, 2 people on the brink of beginning their life had hopes and dreams that were never realized because a cold-blooded murderer made a decision to shoot them down on the streets on a cold, rainy night in our nation's capital. This will not go without just accounting.
That swearing-in ceremony at the White House this afternoon alongside Attorney General Pam Bondi and President Donald Trump, who Pirro called a longtime supporter of hers. Pirro replacing Ed Martin as Trump's nominee for that position, who was not likely to get the approval he needed in Congress and is now serving as Trump's pardon attorney with the DOJ. Pirro also saying during that swearing-in ceremony today, no more mercy for criminals, and she will not tolerate violence or hatred. At the White House, I'm Randy Bass, DC News Now.
All right, well, we're a month away from the start of the NFL season, but it's that time of the year where we begin to talk about those Washington Commanders.
Yeah, we're excited about this. The team is on the field today for voluntary organized team activities out in Ashburn, Virginia.
And that's where we find sports reporter Jake Rahm. And Jake, a lot more attention on this team coming into this year. Certainly not really a surprise after last year's amazing season.
It's our first look at this 2025 Washington Commanders team, organized team activities. They are voluntary, but once again, first look at some of the new guys, the rookies, the veterans, and of course, second-year quarterback Jaden Daniels at practice today. And a lot of the talk coming in is how will he get better after being Rookie of the Year and taking this Commanders franchise to the NFC Championship game. Jaden also in the talks of looking a little bit bulkier as well, coming in this time for OTAs as well, having an entire offseason to prepare, get ready, and hopefully move this team back into a playoff position as well. Jaden asked about putting on some weight as well as what he expects for year 2 with this franchise.
Nah, I was just working out. It wasn't like I need to eat this amount much. No, it was just go out there, have a plan, and, naturally just put on weight. I just think I got to go out there and prove myself each and every day. Like, no matter if it was last season, this season, or, 10, 20 years down the road, you got to prove yourself each and every season. The outside noise doesn't matter. You got to go out there and, like I said, keep proving yourself.
So just the first time the media has been able to look at Jaden Daniels and this Washington Commanders franchise on the field. And one thing's for sure, Jaden Daniels still the humble guy, always trying to work hard and always trying to get better as well early on in this process, as we are still months away from the start of the NFL season. Reporting here in Ashburn at the team facilities, Jake Rahm, DC News Now.